Now, the AFL and Qantas are among the big corporates who support The Voice, and they're copping plenty of flack for that too. Of course, they're free to back any cause they like, and I agree with their cause in this case, although they'd want to be careful about alienating staff and customers who disagree with them. Still, when it comes to this debate, nothing matters more than the facts, and one of the key Voice advocates, Professor Marcia Langton, called out the scare campaigns of the No case today.
The arguments of Dutton, Price, Mundine and others in the No campaign are specious and increasingly absurd, appealing to their base with claims that the proposal will racially divide the nation and create two classes of Australians based on race. This is utter nonsense.
She's right, of course. Whatever you think of Langton, most of the Voice scare campaign is just plain wrong. People pretending a 439-word statement is 15, 18, 20 or hundreds of pages long. Well, that just gives their game away, I'm afraid. I noticed Andrew Bolt the other night agree. It is, of course, one page. But the more important deception that we're getting repeatedly is the No case pretending the Voice will deliver reparations, treaties or land claims or anything else. The Voice will have no power. The Voice is advisory only. The Voice can only make representations. Those are the words that will go into the Constitution, words carefully chosen to ensure they impose no obligation on government. So a Voice cannot deliver anything for anyone. Only Parliament can do that. Its job is to provide advice, ideas, a view. Now, raising any other issue like the WA heritage law debacle or even land claims in Sydney now based on 40-year-old state laws. I mean, raising this stuff now and saying that's why we shouldn't have a voice is pretty illogical, and it is fear-mongering. These things are happening now without a voice. And if you want sensible debates about these issues and sensible advice put to government, you'd probably want a properly constituted and representative voice sharing some grassroots Indigenous views. Because you can't pretend away these issues. They're going to stick around. Surely we'd all agree they're not being very well managed at the moment. Look, the No campaign says it's Labor's voice. It's not. It's been just as much the Liberals until they decided to oppose it. And they want to legislate a voice anyway, the Liberals. The opponents say it's race-based. It's not. I mean, what is race anyway? Indigenous people are a group of people with all sorts of ethnic backgrounds, but one thing in common, they're descended from the first inhabitants and they retain those cultural connections. Besides, if it is race-based, if it divides us, why does the Coalition want to legislate one anyway? And the No camp also says it's a Canberra voice, and it's not. It aims to be the opposite. So look, just because there's a lot of nonsense put about the place, I'm not going to just let it go. You watch this channel to get the facts and honest views, and I'm always going to give you both. So let me answer a couple of the questions you've sent into the You're the Voice segment, and there's still plenty coming in, by the way. The email address ckt@skynews.com.au. So thanks for sending them in. Let's have a look at Chaz's question. He's from Tasmania. We have to trim this down as a long question, but is there a rule that a referendum can only address one question? Why don't we take the opportunity to ask Australians a few more questions? And how about asking for the Voice as well as a separate question for constitutional recognition? Or perhaps if we should go nuclear. It's a good question. Of course, you can put more than one question in a referendum, but past practice shows you often lose the lot then. If one goes down, they all go down, so they want to keep it separate. In this case, the only form of recognition being offered, the one that the whole process has led up to, is recognition through a voice. So obviously the government didn't want to separate that. I do love the idea of a nuclear referendum, though. We don't need one. We just need parliaments to get rid of the bans on nuclear energy. They could do that tomorrow. They should be doing that around the states and federally as well. Here's another question from Gordon asking, if the yes vote wins and we get a voice in Parliament, what happens if the voice becomes all the things that the yes supporters, including me, are saying it will not be? What then? Do you and all the yes supporters apologise that you sold the public a lie? Well, yeah, if the voice gets up and it's legislated and there are problems with it, the Parliament has to fix it. That's the beauty of it. The Parliament has all the power. So if it's not representative, if it's too radical, then people will say so, governments will look at it and they'll look at reforming it. They can make it smaller, they can make it more broad-based. All that is in the hands of the Parliament. that is the point of the situation. Just on The Voice, before I go to Pauline Hanson, I want to show you a bit of courage from another great Australian singer. We know about the flack that was sent into John Farnham. I showed you some of that on Monday, the horrible abuse because of his song The Voice being used for The Voice. Well, here's Daryl Braithwaite, his great rival, who's got the great anthem, the Horses. He's just gone onto Facebook and supported John Farnham and said, "You're the voice." That's very brave and great support from Braithwaite, because no doubt he'll get the same sort of abuse that John Farnham's getting. Well done, Daryl Braithwaite.